Hello and welcome to Shay Spills podcast. I am your host, SheilannO, aka Shay. Hello and welcome to Behind the Streams, a conversation I have with Irish and international streamers, content creators, and gamers. This week's guest is Toxic Vixen, an American streamer from Georgia, and we were talking about having conversations really about Warzone, favorite Call of Duty games, hacking, our mistakes on streaming and what we've learnt, and favourite games and games we didn't really like. And this is the interview. I hope you all enjoy it. See you after the conversation. So for anyone who doesn't know who you are, please introduce yourself to the audience.
My name is Toxic Vixen. Some people call me Toxic. Some people call me Vixen. Some people call me Toxin. I'm a Twitch streamer. That's about it.
How did you get into streaming?
I guess, you know what? I guess I could just say I'm not like your average soccer mom. I am a mom. I'm a little bit older. I have 2 kids and a beautiful wife. We've been married for 5 years now, together for 7. We have a teenager and an almost 10-year-old. His birthday's on Halloween, which is fantastic for anybody that has a Halloween birthday. So that's just kind of me, like behind the scenes. I don't really talk. I mean, I talk about my family quite a bit, but we're very, we're pretty private when it comes to like the kids and stuff like that. But yeah, they play soccer. They're in sports. They're in other sports. They're in high school, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on. So I lead a pretty busy life, like day to day outside of streaming. So like streaming is like my getaway. It's my break from like family life, which is kind of crazy. I got into streaming because I played a lot of video games. Like I've always kind of played video games, and I would play for long periods of time and stuff like that. And I got pretty good. And then my wife started actually watching streamers, and she was like, "I think you could do this." She's like, "I think you could do this. People would want to watch you." And I'm like, "You are out of your mind." And then we just kind of went with it. I started streaming on an Xbox with a HP all-in-one desktop. I went back and watched some of my first streams, and it was atrocious. Like it was awful. I was like, how did I even get where I am starting the way that I did? But if it was because of her and like our really close friends that kind of just encouraged me to do it. And that's how I started.
And for your wife, who was she watching on streams?
She first started watching Thinned on Facebook. She started watching people on Facebook, Thin and Freebies, and then it just kind of blossomed from there. Because you started seeing more streamers or bigger streamers, and that's kind of like it was right before the peak of like COVID, right? When this kind of all started. It was in the summer, and then it just kind of blew up from there, and it has kind of consumed us since then. So,
in a good way, obviously.
Yeah, in a good way.
What games do you mostly stream?
I mostly stream Call of Duty. I'm very much a first-person shooter like player. I don't really dive into other games, but with that being said, I've recently started playing like New World. And I know Apex is a first-person shooter, but it's not quite the same as COD. I did play the Halo beta and things like that. So first-person shooters are like my home, but I'm starting to venture outside of that like bubble.
What has been the most memorable moments you remember from your first few months streaming?
I think one of the biggest moments that I can remember, there's a couple of them. I think when I first got raided by Freebies, it was very early on. I think I was like 2 months into streaming, still had no idea what the hell I was doing. And I got raided by Freebies, which is someone who like I looked up to, right? and he's been a follower and a supporter of mine ever since. And we're talking about almost 2 years now. So and I absolutely adore him, and he's always been a number one fan of mine, and I've always been a number one fan of his. And just thinking about that, like I kind of lost it. Like when you get rated by someone big and you are just starting out, it's very overwhelming. And it's something you definitely don't forget. I think the other one is just growing like a community that wants to see you succeed. Because they helped without my community, I wouldn't be a PC gamer right now. And so like that's kind of like one of the most memorable things for me as well. Like being able to kind of dive deeper into the world of streaming being on PC. So,
Being your favorite highlight from your stream?
my favorite highlight? Like in the sense of like something I do on stream or something that has happened on
something
stream?
that has happened on stream.
Oh goodness. I think there's always, I don't know, because sometimes it's something that's small that I remember or something that is huge, but you know what I mean? Can we come back to that one?
No problem. What's your
Okay.
process in planning for your streams and your socials?
Can I say I don't have one? No. So most of the time I don't have necessarily a plan, especially when I started streaming. There was like no rhyme or reason. But since I've been streaming for quite a long time, I say it's a long time. It really hasn't been that long. But, I tried to plan like who I'm going to play with. And I've gotten much better about posting daily on socials. Back in September, I think it was August. I started this thing where I wake up every morning, and one of the first things that I do is I post something positive or motivational or just kind of factual quotes of the day, in hopes, because like the idea is, if you start your day in the right mindset, it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the day. And so my hope is like when people see it, and people have come to me about this, they're like, I love seeing your quotes in the morning. Like I want people to see it and be like, okay, today is going to be fine. Or I got this today. Or what I was worrying about yesterday doesn't necessarily affect me today, kind of thing. So that's one thing I've been really good about, is just kind of staying on top of posting something every day. And just looking to create that content that can be posted that people are going to want to watch. It's taken me a long time to kind of get into this mindset, but definitely do it earlier than later.
What's your first video game you ever played?
Oh my God, I'm going to show my age. But my first game that I played is going to be Duck Hunt on Nintendo.
Okay, I don't know that game, to be honest.
See, so basically you had it was, and you can consider this a first person shooter or like what are those games where you can work on like your aiming. So basically you have a fake gun that was tethered to the console, and little ducks would fly across your screen and you had to shoot them.
Okay, yes.
And so basically that was like the concept of the game, and you had like a little dog that would run out and get it and stuff like that. And it was wild. I love that game so much. And that's probably why I love first person shooters, to be honest. So
who is your favorite video game character?
I think one of my favorite and maybe one of the most underrated gaming characters would have to be Yoshi from Mario. I don't know how many people remember, like he had like a game and you could ride Yoshi, and I always thought he was the cutest little thing. And I always wanted one, like a Yoshi egg and a Yoshi. But yeah, he's probably my favorite.
What's a popular game everyone seems to love but you don't like?
Fall Guys.
Why?
I hate that game. Because so I'm very competitive and I play Call of Duty and things like that, but Fall Guys will make me rage so hard. I think because it's so simple and I can't do it. So it gets me so livid that I cannot get a crown. I don't know why. That game, everybody likes it, everybody plays it, or they have a really good time with it. I literally hate playing that game.
If you had to live in the world of the last game you played, what world would that be?
Ooh, that would be New World, which I'm not mad about.
Why is that? Is it harder to play? Or
No, so New World is a MMO. And so at Interium is a place that doesn't age, and there's always something to do, and it's this huge, beautiful map, and there's different types of scenery, there's animals and stuff like that. So it's much better than having to live in Verdansk. So
I was actually going to ask, who would be your ultimate team for Verdansk?
my ultimate team, like for
for
a tournament,
or just as a team you usually play with.
Or a team that I usually play with. That's such a tough choice because I'm trying to think of this like from a strategic standpoint. Like, do I want to get a bunch of dubs? Do I want to be sweaty? Do I just want to vibe? You know what I mean? I think so. Like for vibes, I would love to be able to play with Sweet Tails and Big Bear. I think is his name, or is it just Bear? People just call him Bear. I think I would love. Big Bad Bear. Yeah, I would love to play with them just to while out, like just to be silly. But I think like competitively, I would love to be able to play with Huskers and Aiden on a team. I think that would be absolutely insane. But I will say, the people that I play with on a daily basis, I wouldn't trade them for the world.
They're pretty cracked, I have to say, from watching the streams.
Yeah. They are very much cracked, and we put out really good content, and our vibes are completely unmatched. Like our humor is the same, but at the end of the day, I know that we all get sweaty and we can handle our own, and that's something that's like really important for people to remember. You know what I mean? But I guess like an all-time dream team of mine would be Aiden and Huskers.
And if you were in a tournament with other streamers and you had to pick 3 people to be on your team, who would they be?
Ooh, 3 people to be on my team. I think I would have to go with I think I would have to go with Manny and Luigi. And for a 4th to pick up, I think I would pick up Cupcake. I think we all 4 work well together. And I know people are probably like, well, why didn't you say so and so and so and so and so and so? I think because to me, like being in a tournament is great and winning is great, but also from the content creation side, like I want to be able to still have that kind of content with people. And that only comes from time playing with people. Most of the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are people that you could queue up with and you're going to make great content because they're great people. But then sometimes you can queue up with people and it takes a little bit longer, right? It takes a little bit longer to kind of break down that kind of nervousness or like, I don't really know this person, so I don't necessarily want to say the wrong thing kind of thing. And sometimes that takes time. But once you get there, it's great. But like just to jump into a tournament right off the rip, no questions, I would definitely go with those people.
If you could delete one video game forever, what would it be?
Fall Guys. I don't think I would I don't think I would really delete any games. Because even though I may not enjoy a game per se, there are plenty of people who do enjoy it, no matter if it's really good or bad in the general consensus. There's always going to be someone that likes it. So I don't think any games need to be deleted per se.
Do you have a favorite loadout at the moment in Warzone?
Ooh, no. Because right now there's not necessarily like a meta per se. There are some guns that kind of do outperform others, but I think you're finally starting to see somewhat of a gun balance. I like to snipe and I like to push, so I'll run like a sniper SMG or your regular AR with a SMG. Sometimes I like to be toxic and run a riot shield and Cali sticks. It's probably one of my favorite loadouts. That's probably like my most fun loadout. Because everybody can say or everybody can relate that they hate being killed by Cali sticks. But they are also again one of the most fun things.
I've never
to
got
run.
a kill with a Kudo 6. I'm just.
You've never gotten killed by one, or
I've
you've never
got
gotten a
killed.
kill?
I've been killed multiple times with them. It's just I'm not very good with the sticks.
So the thing with the sticks is it really kind of helps you focus on movement and placement, and because you're gonna have to either stun them or flash them or gas them or whatever, and you have to move. It's all about positioning with the sticks. And sometimes I'm notorious for just running straight at people and then I die and then of course I rage, but that was on me. You know what I mean? But it's fun to kind of slide in and out of places to get away from people. And what happens is if you can kind of get somewhat decent on sticks, it translates to gunplay too. Cause you're like, oh wait, I can do this or do this. So that's why I like to run them because it just reminds me of what I need to work on.
What's your opinion on the snipers and is it floor? What's the word? Do you know the guns that would be on the ground when you just first fly in? Yeah,
The ground loot guns.
Do you think they've improved?
The ground loot snipers are some of them. Most of them are trash. Because the ground loot sniper, I think like right now you can get a somewhat decent Pellington. And I think that's it. The Swiss, I mean, I feel like they keep messing with the Swiss. Because some days I am on and I'm hitting all the shots. And then literally yesterday, a man was standing still and I could not hit him. And I was 10 feet from him. Like I just couldn't, I don't understand what happens. And so I think they need to leave the snipers alone.
Do you think PC gamers are superior to console players?
Oh, that is always the question, right? I don't think PC gamers are superior per se. Because let me say this. I know quite a few people who play on console who are just as cracked as PC players. Is there a hindrance when it comes to playing on console? Yes. But just because you play on PC or you play on console doesn't necessarily make you better. You know what I mean? I think you get more advantages for a game on PC. But there are some things that console it can do that PC can't do. Like console players, they don't have to play crossplay. You know what I mean? So they don't have to run into that sweaty PC. Oh.
We're just gonna wait. That's all right. That's no problem.
But no, I don't. At the end of the day, I don't think that PC gamers are superior to console players. I think they just invested more money into a bigger console.
Oh, that's okay.
No, I don't know. I don't know because over the past probably at least
and
this
do you
week
think
for sure,
at the moment with Activision,
every game that I've loaded into has had a hacker. Like a legitimate hacker that we've looked up, we've watched the gameplay.
Right? And do you think
because sometimes people are notorious for like always cheating. I get called a cheater quite often. And I'm not a cheater. I'm terrible at this game. But sometimes you hit those shots, or you start getting better game sense, and you predict the run or whatever. And people are like, well, how did he know I was there? And I've said this before, but now it's gotten to the point where there's literally a cheater in every game, and it's taken Activision over 2 years to even kind of give a crap. Like with Vanguard, they're finally saying that they're releasing an anti-cheat, but we don't know if it's going to work. And it sucks that like we have to play a game that could be, or that was so great and could still be great if they would get it together. But it's like they don't care. Have people gotten banned before? Yes, but the problem with banning people is they have thousands of accounts ready to go. They make it's so easy. It is so easy to cheat in Warzone now. It's ridiculous. I think part of it, the majority, I would say, like the majority of people that cheat on a regular basis are people
I just don't
who
get why
use the excuse
they
of,
do it now, because
I'm tired
just
of
shows,
dying to
one,
cheaters,
are they
or I'm
just,
tired of always
can they not
losing to sweaty
play
people, or I'm
decent, or is
tired
it
of this.
two, they just
Instead
want to
of
ruin the game for
putting in
everyone
the
else?
time and saying, okay, I'm not that great at the game, but what can I do to get better without having to cheat, and actually work on that so that they do get better? They cheat. The people that use like boosting, like cheating, where they take people around and get them wins, those people are there to make money, and the people that pay them are tired of losing, so they pay to win. There's definitely a market for it. I mean, people pay a little bit of money. You could pay $5, or you could pay $50. And you know what I mean? So that's a huge gap of people that price range covers, who are willing to pay that. Like your casual everyday gamer is willing to pay that just to try to get somewhere in a video game, which is crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. I don't know why they just don't go play something else. Like, why don't you just go play something else? But then, we've seen some of the clips. There are cheaters that were in the Battlefield beta. I don't think we saw any cheaters in the Halo beta. There was cheaters in the Vanguard beta, which I understand they're all betas.
It's
This
bizarre.
isn't, the final whatever. But it's quite depressing to see how much cheating has blown up. But it also kind of makes me wonder, like, how much cheating was happening before streaming is at where it is now. You know what I mean? Because like before people saw the cheating happening live, like how many cheaters were in a game that we didn't know that was necessarily cheating, because nobody talked about it, because we were all just sitting on our couch on our 70-inch TVs playing Call of Duty. You know what I mean? So it's kind of interesting, the progression of cheating with the progression of streaming, how much is blown up. I did play the Vanguard beta. It was gifted to me because I wasn't going to pre-order it. I'm not a huge fan of like World War guns and the mechanics, which they're using the Modern Warfare engine. So the movement isn't horrible. It's not like super different like in Cold War. But
have you tried Vanguard?
I don't know. I don't love it. I hate that we have to grind it out for a whole month before they release the new map. But I'm a little scared about the integration of Vanguard Pacific with Warzone, like that being the new Warzone. In the sense of the guns that are going to be used, was going to be obsolete, how the movement is going to be, the TTK, and things like that. So it's going to be, December is going to be kind of crazy, I think.
Sure. And I mean, I'm not going to be getting the game just because I looked at it and I was like, yeah, no, that's cool, but I just don't think it would be for me. I mean, I love World War games and all that, but I think just the guns itself, like, I mean, obviously, then the guns weren't preferably great compared to the guns we have now, like in Warzone and all that.
Right.
But I mean, it's like one. It's great that they're going to be showing stories of female
Oh yeah.
gun
Yeah, she was on the trailer.
gun women, let's say, just back then, because I mean there was women fighting in World War One and Two, and they haven't been recognized
I believe
for
it.
their recognition of
I believe
what they
it.
did.
Like,
And I
that's
think
true.
one
Like,
of them
people
was going to be
forget how much of a
is it a
role women
Russian
played in those
sniper, I
times.
believe.
So it's kind of interesting that
Yeah,
they are going to showcase
yeah,
some
because
women
apparently in real
in the
life
video
there was
game. But
actually a group of women from
I
Russia
don't
that
know.
were
I
actually
mean, now people
sniping
are
the
somewhat
Germans. But they were
preferring
yeah.
like the Cold War guns.
Yeah,
So probably
yeah.
what will happen,
It's kind
people
of
will
insane
start
with those.
preferring the Vanguard guns. Because they always give them a buff. They always make them better than what they actually are. Because it doesn't make any sense that a Cold War gun or a Vanguard gun outperforms a modern warfare gun. You know what I mean? So it's kind of crazy in that sense of like we keep going back in time, but the guns keep getting better. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm.
So for the most part, I started back in Modern Warfare, which I believe was Call of Duty 4. I played a lot, of course this was before BRs were really big. So I played a lot of Search and Destroy. I was ranked in the top 1,000 in the world for Search and Destroy, which is
no,
kind
it
of
doesn't.
crazy way back then.
Have
And
you
then they
tried all
came
the Call
out
of
with
Duty
the
games?
one that was set in Japan. What was that one? So I played that one for a little bit, and then I took like I think I stopped gaming for like 10 years. Life just kind of took over, and I stopped gaming, and then I came back and played a little bit of Black Ops, and took another break, and then got back into Call of Duty with Modern Warzone or Modern Warfare. So it's kind of, it doesn't necessarily matter how long you step away from Call of Duty, you can always pick it back up relatively quickly. It's kind of one of those games that is consistent in that sense. I think it depends on who makes it, right? So I think, what is it? Every year they swap. So Treyarch gets it or Raven gets it. And so Treyarch is notorious for having like clunky mechanics.
And
Like in
from
Black
the
Ops,
beginning, you were saying you were playing
they tried to
those
do some
games. Do you think
futuristic
there has been a
stuff,
major
but the movement is
of
very similar to
making
the
those games
movement that's
since
in
then?
Cold War. It's kind of that weird, kind of clunky, not very smooth movement. And so depending on which devs create the game depends on how well the game plays. So every year or every other year, like it's pretty good or really good, and then the opposite years, it's okay. To me, in my opinion. Some people love that kind of stuff though. I think the biggest thing with streaming networks and companies is taking female streamers more seriously. Recognizing
This is
that
more of a serious question.
female
What needs to be
content
done by gaming
is not
companies,
necessarily the
streaming
same
networks like Twitch
content
for female
as
streamers out
males,
there?
right? In the sense of, your most popular male streamers, some of them are entertainers, some of them are really good at video games, they're really passionate about it. You sit there, you don't see a whole lot of movement necessarily in their chat, but people are there to genuinely watch them play a game, right? And then you have streamers who are a combination of the two. And so The thing is, though, the same can be said for female streamers. It's just a matter of women being taken more seriously in a male dominated field. I think also what needs to be done is they need to really put down the hammer on the harassment that happens. I personally don't get a whole lot of harassment, but feeling people who feel confident enough or okay enough to go into a female stream or female streamer's stream and say, take your top off. Like, why do you think that that's okay to say because she's wearing a top with a little bit of cleavage? Like, that goes hand in hand with saying, oh, well, she was raped because she was dressed provocatively. That makes absolutely no sense. That the way you dress doesn't warrant the type of um negative or super misogynistic attention that is associated with it. You know what I mean? Like, is it okay to say, "Oh my gosh, I think you're really pretty." Yes. However, I wish people would appreciate people for their content, not just based solely on how they look, right? Um but we're human and it's human nature and things like that, but I really wish they would really kind of help cut down on that harassment. That whole like get in the kitchen and make me a sandwich. Like why can we start advocating that is not okay to say? Like can we finally say like that is a very misogynistic term and we as human beings need to stop saying that. And don't get me wrong, there are women out there who are just as toxic as men, who are toxic to other females. It's across the board like that. The stigma with being toxic in a video game, well, that's just Call of Duty for you. It's been like this forever. Can we get away from that? Can we say we no longer want it to be that way? Like people want to have fun, and if you are a female, you shouldn't be afraid to say something over a mic because of what is going to come back at you. And so, and I can relate wholeheartedly to this because I played a lot of multiplayer. I played a lot of search and destroy. In my opinion, search and destroy lobbies are probably one of the most toxic lobbies that are out there. Um, I would say something and they'd be like, "Oh, go get in the kitchen. Go make me a sandwich. Go raise your kids. Don't you have a husband to please? Blah, blah, blah." And so then me being who I am, I will say something back to them. And I got into that like toxic like headspace, right? And then sometimes I just wouldn't say anything. But if you keep pushing people to their limit, they're going to snap. And then that's what happens. This is what you have to be really careful of as a streamer, because when you snap, that's what gets recorded and that's what gets put out there. So it's okay to hold streamers accountable, but it's not okay to hold a community accountable. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I wish that's what we would do, the networks would do, the companies would do, take female streamers more serious, look at their content, not just look at how beautiful they are or be like, "Oh, you're only streaming because you're a pretty girl." No, I'm streaming because I like to meet new people and I just happen to be pretty. You know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. I just and it's such a gray area, right? Because we all want to be taken seriously, but there are some streamers who don't give 2 cents about the bigger picture in the sense of like trying to make the gaming community better. And I think everybody can be like, okay, yeah, I know what she's talking about. There are certain people who just are only there for themselves. They don't really care about the bigger picture of like, females are bigger than what they are in the gaming industry. And so that can be a hindrance as well. And so it's like we're fighting on both sides of the sense of like, I want to be taken seriously, but I want all females to be taken seriously. But then there's some females that just don't care of the bigger picture. So it's, you know what I mean? It's a catch-22. Yeah.
So, I was playing multiplayer yesterday. Even like I think it was only 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was still early. And I usually mute everyone's comms because I don't want to hear the
Right.
nonsense come out of their mouths really most of the time. But I left it on this time just to hear, and I heard they were
Right.
saying
And I don't
like the F word
understand
and
people who say derogatory
saying all
terms
these
or
things about
racial
women, and I was
slurs
like,
and it just
the
comes
Dutch
out like
team, there's
water.
no
It
other
just comes
woman.
out of
I
their
didn't say a
mouth.
word. I
Like,
didn't say anything. I didn't tell them I was
why
a
do
girl or
you
anything, but
think
they were
that
just
that's
talking trash and saying,
totally
oh,
okay
go back to
because
the
you're on a
kitchen and
video
all that. And
game
I'm
and
like,
nobody knows who you
would you
really
say that to
are?
your mother?
Is that what it is?
Would you
Yeah.
say that to your sister? Absolutely not, because you get a
It's
smack in the
not.
head by them.
It's
So
not. And
you think that's
even,
okay?
there are women who say things like that. Like it's not. And I understand in some
Yeah.
parts of the world,
Yeah.
there are some words that are more socially acceptable, that are funny, that aren't used in necessarily a derogatory sense. But
And you think that's
as a
masculine?
whole,
Also,
it
like, do you
is a
think that's
derogatory term
masculinity?
kind
It's
of
not.
thing. And I think that just comes down to knowing like different communities. Um, but what we are talking about are these teenage kids who get on the mic when their parents are too busy to listen to what they're actually saying, and they start spouting off crazy stuff.
Mm.
And even grown men. I mean, there's probably I probably ran into some really super toxic grown men that say that the same thing. So it's something that they've been doing their entire life, which is crazy to me. And little kids, or I say little kids, I say younger kids, like when you can hear them
Yeah.
and you're like, why are you not at school right now, kids? As a mom, if I ever heard my son say some of the things that have been said to me, I would absolutely lose it. I would absolutely lose my mind.
Yeah.
But again, that
It's
comes
insane.
down to being like, hey, we don't do that. You don't say that. I don't care what everybody else is doing. That's not okay. So maybe one day it'll get better, but it's a long road. I think the biggest thing that I have learned, and I'm still learning, I haven't learned everything. I'm still evolving, right? I think one of the biggest things that I've learned is that you, as the streamer, control your content. So
Definitely.
when you
What have you learned from
are
your
playing
mistakes
with
from
people
streaming?
and the vibes aren't there, don't sit there and suffer through it. Don't sit there and suffer through it. If you are not having a good time, get out. Go play a different game. Go play with other people. Don't play with those people again. Take a break, whatever you need to do, because nobody wants to sit there and watch someone be miserable. And this is something that I'm still working on myself because I beat myself up a lot. I beat myself up a lot for not hitting the shot or dying in a stupid way or whatever in the game, and because I want to be better, so I try to push myself, and then I get upset with myself because I can't do it or I didn't do it right. And I would hold on to that. And just kind of sit and be mopey or be angry. And I've finally getting to the point where you're like, you know what? It's fine. I died. We regain. I try to let it go. And that's just on personal growth, right? But hearing my wife, she's like, I won't watch you if you get into this mindset that you're in right now. And that really hit me. She finally said, this is not okay. You cannot sit here and do this because nobody wants to sit here and watch you be miserable. Whether it be because of the people that I'm playing with or because I'm just really beating myself up. People use streaming or streamers as a way to get away. And so if they come into your stream and it's the same, you're complaining about the same things or you're mopey or whatever, they don't want that. They want to come and have a good time. So just remembering that you are in control of your content is the biggest thing. Who do I watch on Twitch? On a daily basis? So I watch a bunch of different people. I think it depends on what I'm looking for, right? I watch Aiden quite a bit. I watch Thin quite a bit when
Who
he's
do you
live. I
watch
watch Gaku when
on
he's
Twitch?
live. I try to make it around to all of my friends when they're live, but a lot of us kind of stream at the same time.
If you were trying to escape from your own like
But
busy schedule
or if I know
of
that
life
there
and streaming, who do
are
you
people
watch?
from my community that are just starting their streaming path, I try to make an effort to get into their streams and just kind of watch and hang out. But I did this last night. So I have a supporter. She just started streaming, and I went and I followed her, and I just wanted to hang out, right? Like I didn't want it to be like this kind of big deal because I don't think I'm a big deal. And as soon as I hit the follow button, it was her second stream. And she just kind of was like, oh my God. And I was like, no, I'm just here. Don't pretend like I'm not here. But it's kind of one of those things. Like, I want to follow and I want to be supportive, but just I'm just here as me. I need to make another Twitch account, I think, is what I need to do. But I watch Sweet Tales. I watch Namaste Woke. I think it really just depends on the night, what we have going on and what I'm looking for. That kind of thing. It varies. I think I don't this could go in so many directions, right? I think the advice would be yourself. Be yourself. If you want to
what
stream,
would your advice
stream,
be for a new
but
streamer who's just
understand
starting out?
streaming is probably one of the more stressful, more mentally challenging things that you can do, right? But if you want to do it wholeheartedly, be yourself. It's kind of nerve-wracking when you first start streaming because you're like, oh God, people are watching me. Like, what do I do with my hands, right? But don't lose yourself in trying to be something that you're not, right? Because people want to see you be genuine. And this is something that I'm still working on, right? Like, because I'm quite funny and a little obnoxious and a little weird, but I have a hard time kind of letting go and showing that on stream because we're all creatures of like, what are these people thinking about me? Right? Like, some people are like, I don't care what people say. And I can sit here and I can say that all day long, but at the end of the day, I kind of do care. And that's something that I'm working on. Like, I'm still a work in progress, right? Like, am I as good of a streamer as I want to be? Absolutely not. I'm still growing. Like, I have a lot of growth left to do, but I'm getting there. Every day is something better, right? So be yourself. Make sure you have good audio. I don't care if you have a cam. Like, I don't care if you have a camera. Like, that doesn't bother me. But if your audio is a little wonky, it's kind of one of those things, right? Like, audio is so important. And that's just coming from like a setup standpoint. It doesn't matter if you play on PC or console or whatever. Cause I started on Xbox. It doesn't matter, just as long as you have good audio, and you're fun to watch. You can get people to come in all day long, but what makes them stay? So you have to figure that out. And that's a long road, right? Some people have it right off the rip. Some people don't. I didn't. So you have to kind of figure out what gets people to stay. And kind of like what I said before, you are in control of your content. You're not obligated to play with anyone. You're not obligated to stay in like a toxic environment. That kind of thing. I think that's something that's really important. You're not obligated to play with anyone. So, like my future goals and stuff like that. There's some things that I would like to get done as far as like working with certain companies. I feel like I'm to the point where I can genuinely represent a company to my community, and they would actually like it as well. Um,
And for your stream
the
in the
other thing I
future.
want to do is I just want to continue to grow, like,
Yeah.
and grow as a person, grow as a streamer, and continue to grow like the misfit community. We have people from all walks of life, various ages, that come in and hang out, and we all typically have a really good time together. And that's something that I want to continue to work on growing, because I want to have a space where it doesn't matter who you are, who you're married to, like what you like or whatever, you know that if you come in here, you're safe. You know what I mean? Um, so, I don't really want to, I don't know. I don't want to like give too many goals away, but I do have some short-term goals that are coming up, hopefully. And then I have some long-term goals. Um, but I always kind of keep my cards close to my chest kind of thing. So, cause I don't want to talk about it and it not happen and then feel like a complete failure. But we're getting there. We're getting there one day at a time. Yes. Yep. I recently just got partnered with Alt Customs, which is kind of crazy because I've wanted to work with them for over a year. I started as a controller player and I switched to mouse and key because I thought like mouse and key is
Yeah, I don't know.
superior
Fair
to
enough.
controller players. But little did I know that
Uh,
controller on PC is kind of
and
crazy. But
you are working with Alt
and I can't go back
Customs
to a controller
moving
now. I've
forward.
tried. Um, it's kind of weird. There are people who can do both, but being a mouse and key player, going with like alt customs, it was like a no brainer for me. So
Mhm. Mhm.
I have their T1 60%, which is kind of cool because with alt customs, you can customize your keys in the sense of colors. Like you can pretty much customize every single key. So like right now, I have like a lime green, a pink, and a purple keyboard. So it's not something that you can buy like in the store, right? You can't just go and pick one up.
Keyboard do you have
And
for anyone who
to
doesn't know?
get like a custom keyboard for the price that they offer it at, it's actually really reasonable. Um, so yeah, it's just
So
your 60% customized keyboard. Kind of cool. Yes, and it'll get you 10%.
mm,
Shameless plug, 10% altcustoms.com. Use code Vixen. Go make a beautiful keyboard. I definitely want to get a couple more like for different seasons because now I have a keyboard cam. So people can see it. So yeah, so you can see the keyboard and stuff. So I kind of almost want to get one for
you
like
can get a
every
code,
occasion.
which
I'm
is
not gonna lie,
Vixen.
I'm obsessed with this.
Yes.
So what I think their slogan is naked keyboards aren't cool. So
Nice.
just go get a cool one. Go make a cool one. You can make it whatever you want.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's cool.
Um Probably. I would like to say yes. Like I would like to say yes, I want to be a Twitch partner. Um do I know that that is a road for me that is going to be long? Yes. But it's something
Would
that I work towards
you
every day.
go on the road for
For my
partnership? Is
follower
that a
count
future goal?
versus like, people, how many people that we have hanging out, it's absolutely insane. And I'm very privileged um to have the people that hang out with me when I stream. Did I ever think I would be a partner on any platform? No. And I say that because I have a lot of self-doubt. So my biggest problem is getting out of my own way. You know what I mean? And I think some people can relate to that. Um, I need to start waking up in the morning and saying I am going to be a Twitch partner. Not yeah, maybe one day. No, I am going to be a Twitch partner. But again, that goes back to the whole like self growth and trying to just grow as a human being.
Mhm.
Even though I'm a little bit older than most people in this industry, I guess. Um, so I don't know. That's kind of crazy to think about. Toxic Vixen, Twitch partner. I don't. Yeah, I agree. So and I think this is just kind of looking at it from like um just observing over the past couple of years. Um you have the kind of younger people who are in their 20s.
I don't think
And
age
then you
should
have the
matter.
older
I
people who
think
are
if
like,
you are
I would
doing the things
say
right, and then if you have a
45 and
community
above.
and you have an audience there,
Because I don't
think
know if you know
should.
her, Tactical Grandma. She's a Facebook partner. Absolutely love Tactical Grandma. She's a dear friend of mine. I cannot wait to meet her in Vegas coming up in like 2 weeks. There are two separate categories in that sense, right? Like, so I'm in the middle. I'm 35. So it's kind of like I'm relatable to a lot of
Lover,
people, but then I'm not relatable to like the younger crowd because I'm almost old enough to be their mom kind of thing. So I don't know. I feel like I'm stuck in this weird kind of limbo area. So that's why I need to just continue to work on myself to try to make better content instead of being like some weird 35-year-old soccer mom playing video games. You know what I mean? So and I mean I just told my age to a lot of people. So what, you're 25? See? See, I'm 35. I play with a man named It's Luigi. He's 19. He's 19. Yes. He doesn't act 19. He's very
no, I get
I
you.
love him. He's a really good friend of mine. And it's kind of weird saying like I'm friends with a
Oh no, it's
19-year-old.
fine. I'm
Like I'm 35.
25.
Like
I
that's
look
weird,
younger.
right? But he's very mature and he's super cool.
Yes, ma'am.
And well, I always call him my son because I mean in reality, like I could have had
What?
him. I could be his mom.
Oh my god.
So and then but it's kind of funny it doesn't necessarily matter your age in this industry as to who you meet, right? And who you connect with on like a professional level or like a gaming level or whatever. That's the one good thing about this industry. So it can bring people together from all walks of life.
Mm.
Right. And that's kind of like streaming is kind of one of those like
Yeah.
best kept
I think
secrets, right? Um and I think a
sure,
lot
'cause
of
it's funny.
my doubt or
Where I
why I don't
work,
necessarily talk
people
about
knew
it
who Tactical
outside
Grandma
of the
was,
house is
and
because
they're
sometimes
older than
trying to
me, and
explain to
they
my
love her
peers
content as a
what I
gamer and
do
everything. And
for
it's
a
like, okay,
living, they're like,
I didn't know you
so
watch her.
people watch you play video games? I'm like, yes, but they also watch me for me because I'm funny,
Yeah.
or they don't understand. They don't understand. And it's kind of hard to explain to people what like content creation and streaming is if they've never seen it. But and I think that's why a lot of people don't necessarily talk about it. Like you finding out your coworkers watch Tactical Grandma. Like I don't even know how did you even get there? How did you even get to that conversation? And I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Because so the way it was, when we were working lockdown in January, we were doing like 10-hour shifts. So literally together because we were waiting for, because I work in hospitality, so I work as a chef.
Mhm.
So we were working in our job and we were waiting for customers to come in, and they weren't going to come in till like 7 o'clock, maybe 8 o'clock at night, and we were there from 1 o'clock. So we were sitting around having conversations, and they were always playing Call of Duty and they were watching streams on Facebook. So that's how I
Are
found
those
out
the hoodies?
about them
Like the
being
oversized like
obsessed
blanket
with
hoodie
Call of
thing?
Duty and all that.
Yes.
And then I started streaming then, and then I was telling them about it, and they're like, just don't forget us when you're big. And I'm like, yeah, sure, I won't get that big, but
See, there's that
like when I got
self-doubt.
like
So
my
I'm not
first
like the only one.
sponsorship
Like, yes, you are.
with
You are going places.
I don't know if have you heard of them.
Slowly, but we're going.
They're so I got spun. Mm-hmm. They're huge, right? And
So my
I was surprised,
moderators,
and I thought,
a
is
little
this
bit, I
really?
guess a little bit of my
But they're
backstory. I started streaming
they
on
were like, okay,
Facebook.
you're going
I started
places, and I'm
streaming
like,
on Facebook, and
not yet,
then
but
I got banned. I got a
yeah,
30-day ban
yeah,
on Facebook for something that I think
slowly,
was posted in like a group
yeah.
outside of my streaming.
How do
That got
you pick your
reported, and
moderators?
so, and kind of the way it works, if your personal profile gets reported, um it affects your gaming page, right? So I got a 30-day ban, and so that's when I created my Twitch channel, or that's when I started streaming on Twitch. um and this was October
Oh my god!
last year. So but my mods, most of them came from Facebook because they're like my OGs. They've been with me. They were probably, I know one of my mods came over from a raid and has never left.
Right.
And he's, I've met him in person. He's met my whole family and stuff like that. So I just look for people who I think are genuine in their support. Because sometimes you have people who are like,
Mm-hmm.
they have the intentions of like looking like they're super supportive and they're always in your chat, and then you ask them to be a mod and then they disappear because that's all they wanted. And that's kind of like the negative reality of streaming, is like you have some people who are just, they just want you for whatever weird reason. So I try to look for people who are genuine, that I think I could, like, if I met them in person, um like, we are now family kind of thing. So all of my mods are super close. We have, group chats and things like that. And I tell them what's going on with me, and I know about their family and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's just people that I know that I can rely on, building that trust. So we have Danielle, we have Chris, we have Angelo. Um, and then of course my wife is my mod. But what's kind of crazy about that is she would not watch me for the longest time. So she's just now getting back into like hanging out a lot, which is kind of interesting. I don't know why, but she's like,
You can give them a shout
I
out as
don't
well
come
if
in
you
there.
want.
I think part of it was because a lot of people would be like, "Oh my gosh, is that your wife?" And I'm like, "Yes." And then it would turn into like this big thing, and she's really shy, and so she stopped hanging out for a while, because she didn't want to be like in the spotlight per
Mm-hmm.
se. Um, because she's very much the conservative, shy type of person. But people love her. And so now she hangs out and it's like this thing and stuff. So um she doesn't play. She does a little bit. Oh, and I forgot to mention Brittany. I always forget about Brittany. And what's crazy is Brittany is our real life friend. We see,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
she's actually our roommate. She lives with us and she's my mod. And I forgot to shout her out, bro. I'm the worst. But I guess because she's more like, she's like my sister. Like, it doesn't matter. She knows. She knows.
She did.
But Hannah does not really play anymore. She did for a while. But she's,
Brittany.
the way her mind works, she's a really good analyst. Like, if she could be like a podcaster or an analyst for video games, like that would be her calling. She's like that in sports too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if she could coach a football team, like American football, and she even coaches soccer here, which is football for you guys. So like she's a very good analyst. She understands the way things work, and she can always kind of see like the bigger picture in that kind of stuff. But you actually put her on the game and it's like she forgets everything. I'm like, what? Because she'll be like, you should have done this. She'll come to me. She'll be like, you should have done this, this, and
Mm-hmm.
this. And I'm like, really? And then we'll play. Sometimes we play off stream and I'm like, well, why didn't you do this? She's like, I don't know. I just panicked. I'm like, see, it's different. It's different when you're watching versus being in the moment. So yeah. My kids' soccer team. I don't really watch. I watch a lot of women's college soccer. So we watch kind of everyone. We have a local team here. We go and watch them. I think this is going to sound terrible. I just enjoy watching women's soccer more so than men's because
Yeah, for sure.
women tend to be a little more
Do you have
chippy,
a favorite soccer
a
team?
little more aggressive. Like it's a different type of gameplay. I don't really watch professional soccer because everybody knows soccer players are dramatic. And so like I'm like, but we do love watching the women's team, and our daughter being older, she really looked up to the USA team and stuff. So
Yeah.
really? They're such a good team. They're such a good team. But there's our son is a goalie, and so he looks forward to like going to camps and working with some college athletes, some college goalies and stuff like that. But we're not. We're more so like American football here too. So and right now it's football
I
season.
actually have 2 US
So that's
jerseys.
That's
so
what consuming consuming us. So American football is kind of like a weird combination of soccer and rugby in a way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I know all the rules and like I know like what that kind of stuff, but
to be honest,
as far as like building plays and stuff, that's not for me. But I think if I could compare it to something, it's like rugby and soccer had a baby. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so they always like have a reset and things like that. So, and it's kind of one of those weird things. And like I guess you could probably include hockey in it as well. Like some of the rules kind of cross over. Like hockey and soccer are very similar.
But that's about it. I just
in
there's so many
way.
players as well, and then there's like so many parts of the field they just stop at.
I think that just depends.
I don't get that.
I think it just depends. No, I guess I don't know. Growing up with football, it's not super complicated to me. No, I don't know. Are there any other sports that you aren't super familiar with?
I thought hockey was just for the punching.
See, I don't like watching basketball. I think it's boring. Oh. Typically an hour. Well, so the gameplay is scheduled for an hour.
No basketball,
but then you have
at least, thank God.
you get the flags and then you have timeouts and things like that.
I don't mind
like
it.
an hour game,
but then
right?
Golf,
Typically takes what,
I
like 2.5, 3 hours.
But then it's so slow as a game
something like
now.
that.
I realized.
Especially if it's on
American
TV.
Football match?
Like now, if you're just watching your kids play, it takes about an
Really?
hour and a half. So you got to get your money in your commercials and stuff. So that's why it feels like it takes so long.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My God. Oh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we had a few. Actually, we had a few
Really?
college teams
that's
come
so
over. So like Notre
crazy.
Dame
I don't
came
know.
over. I think was it Penn State.
I know that they just had some games. I think in London, some professional games,
they would
some
have
NFL
two
games.
matches in the weekend for Irish people to watch, but
and then I think they had this thing too where they had
who came with the college.
What was it? They had like a camp.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Where they put on like a camp
but,
for
I wouldn't mind going to one.
European players to come and like try out, and they're bringing them back to the States to play football or something like that.
They're huge there. They're like the amount of people go to them there is insane.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that they're trying to get American football out there in that sense. So yeah.
Because there's actually 2 people from Ireland in 2 college football teams at the moment. So
I think it would go back to
Yeah, it's mad.
like
What
be
what would your
yourself,
advice be to
stop
yourself
overthinking,
who was just starting streaming all
stop
over again?
stressing. Um, you know, find what you are good at. If you're really good at video games, that's fine. If you're not super good at video games, what else are you good at? What is going to make people want to see you, right? And I also think that going back to controlling your content means controlling yourself sometimes. Um, build genuine relationships with your community and with other streamers. I think probably one of the hardest things for me is making genuine friendships in the streaming industry. Um, we have people that will hype you up and things like that, but building genuine friendships with people can be proven to be difficult sometimes in this industry. So finding those people that support you no matter what and that you support no matter what, keep those people close because it can always change. It's like it's in a year from now, right? Ah, man, I tell you what, if I were to make partner between now and then, I probably would go. I've never been to California. I would love to go. Um,
For
I don't
sure.
know, maybe.
Would you be going to
Maybe because we're
TwitchCon
about to
next year
do our first
in
event.
San Diego?
We're going to Las Vegas in a couple weeks for Loot Fest. It's a streamer expo being put on by Streamer Loot, which is a merch company. They partnered with StackUp.org, which is an organization that raises monies for veterans, U.S. veterans and our allies. So like people in Europe, in the UK and stuff like that. So they raise a lot of money to help support veterans through gaming. They send like gaming consoles to people who are overseas or to
Nice.
disabled veterans, and then they put money back into crisis intervention and things like that. So Streamer Loot and Stack Up have partnered together to put on this amazing Streamer Loot. There's going to be, companies there. There's going to be streamers there. There's a bunch of things planned that are going on. So that's going to be like my first like streamer related event. So I might get the bug and have to go to TwitchCon because TwitchCon, I've heard nothing but great things about it. So we shall see. Yep, all the proceeds are going to go to stackup.org, and so I'm pretty excited to be a part of that as well. So and I think it, just to hit on that, I think it's really cool that they support our allies as well. So it's not like just an American based organization.
And that sounds
Which is kind of
amazing what
cool.
they're doing
So
for American
I think there's people
veterans.
coming from all across the world for Streamer Loot. Which I'm really excited about. So like I said, I get to meet Tactical Grandma. I get to meet quite a few other people as well. I think Gaku is going, and Jared is going. So there's quite a few people that I've either played with or that I know just by networking or whatever that is going to be there. So it's kind of like I'm a little nervous. I don't know why.
Oh, that'll be so much fun.
Yes, we're going for 4 days. So, I've never been to Las Vegas either, so it's like a vacation for me and my wife, and then of course like, job related stuff. So, it's going to be interesting. Going to be interesting. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for a vacation.
Are you going for the full weekend?
Yeah, yep, they're doing one in Dallas.
Ooh.
So I don't know if I'm going to go to the one in Dallas. I guess it just depends on how well Vegas goes. Like, I don't know. But I wholeheartedly think if I made Twitch partner between
I
now
know. I
and
hope you enjoy it.
TwitchCon, I would definitely go. I don't know. Did
Oh,
you
they're gonna
think
do one in
going
Dallas too. That'd be fun.
as a partner versus not partner has any significance? Or Yeah, that's true. Right.
No, I don't think so.
Right.
Because
Like, why don't you guys just get together
me and my
now?
friends are gonna go to Amsterdam if if we have the money and get a ticket. Because there's a lot of people from the
I've yet
UK
to
I
meet any
know,
other
and
streamers.
Ireland are all
So
said they're
this will
gonna
be my
go as
first
well.
time meeting
So hopefully maybe we'll all
people,
meet in person there. It's
which I'm
funny,
kind
like
of
we
like.
wouldn't meet
It's
in
going
our
to
own
be
country,
interesting
but
for
we'll meet
sure.
in another country.
And I wish.
Strange.
Don't they do TwitchCon on the East Coast? Or
True.
no,
I
that's
met two of them. I met
what
two
is
of
it?
my
PAX
friends
East and PAX
in real
West.
life during the summer, so that was fun.
I've never been to that either. So, but we'll see. Maybe it'll probably be time for another vacation next year. This time.
Oh, so it'd be fun.
So,
It'd be, yeah. For if anyone wants to find you on social medias, where can they find you?
I'm on Hover. Everything is Toxic Vixen. You can just search it and it'll pop it up. It'll be the lady with the crazy hair, crazy colored hair. And that, yeah, you can just find me everywhere. Yeah, thank you for having me. I hope, I think this is great.
Massive thank you to Toxic for doing the podcast with me. Make sure to follow her all on her socials, linked below with mine, and check her on stream. She streams mostly, I think, daytime. I am able to watch her during the afternoon here in Ireland, so it works great for me because I can watch them compared to some of the American time zone streams that are at late at night for me. But make sure to follow her and check her on Warzone because she's literally cracked, I tell you. And shout out to our moderators again. And with that, guys, I'm gonna leave you. Have a lovely weekend. If you want to make a review of this, please do it on Apple Podcasts and share it around. Tweet us at SheilannOpod. That's the Twitter podcast. Well, yeah, it's SheilannOpod, but on Twitter. That you've listened to it. Let me know what's your thoughts on the podcast series so far. And with that, I'll see you guys all very soon.